to me, the key question.
Which is?
And also international in Europe. Also in Europe. The same in Germany. They support their coal mines, their nuclear reactors, and all heavy industry. Nuclear industry and coal and everything. So if we can stop these subsidies, we can change the whole picture in a very short time. And I think this is such a strong basis for such a policy that I don't think it's impossible to do. But of course we have strong enemies, we have strong business interests against it, but we have to, that's why I mean the only way is to engage intellectual people who understand this reasoning, to understand your analysis, to understand my analysis, to understand basic logic. Very basic logic.
So to change the tax system?
Yeah, to change the tax system, for example, is one very important thing. And to admit, and that's where I'm also critical to the Green Party, as I've told you also, we have to be...
Can you give examples?
No, we have to admit that we have to make a priority between fighting climate and fighting nuclear energy. Unless we do that, we are lost. We can't do both at the same time.
Are you saying that in Sweden that the Green Party in Sweden supports a taxation system that gives money to the nuclear industry?
Exactly.
Well, that's
can you make it?
That's absolutely outrageous.
Elaborate in details how.
Elaborate, yes. By taxing climate change, climate factors.
Okay.
So it's like a carbon tax.
Carbon tax.
Yeah,
right.
and then
the carbon tax is 20 times higher than is defensible. That you can defend with logical arguments.
There's a tax on nuclear too.
It's far too high. Yes, I know. But this is much higher. This is much higher. And that's...
so this diverts people's money to the development of nuclear industry.
When you overtax coal and oil, you support nuclear industry because it makes it easier for them to sell electricity.
If the Swedish nuclear power's oil pollution is in some country that is not in the tax system, it's not put as a tax in Sweden because in Sweden it's not polluting with oil or coal.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest two coal plants of the United States is, as I understand, mainly used for enriching preparing the uranium for the nuclear plants.
But my point is that carbon tax in Sweden has no effect whatsoever on carbon emissions. No effect whatsoever on carbon emissions. They affect emissions in Sweden, but they increase emissions in other countries. That's how the pricing system works. And everybody agrees on this.
We buy the pollution from China.
Yeah, that's everybody agrees on that. But again, there's a strong interest prohibiting these facts to reach to the opinion.
But
to the public.
you've written a lot of this stuff down in your book, haven't you?
I have, yes.
Well, then we have to do your book, don't we?
Pardon?
We have to finish your book and get
it
out.
But also
in English.
But
We have to
I'm
do it in
thinking
English.
that maybe the Green Movement should need to take some lectures by you. I mean, the problem is that
we have lectures on the
we
internet.
have had lectures, but you see, there are strong prejudices also among green people. Because they think that everything that is green should be supported, but they don't realize by having too high carbon taxes, you support nuclear energy.
It's a complex system.
Very few understand this. And if we can have our own people to understand this, we are going to be coming a long way.
But if they included the total cost of the nuclear fuel cycle, then in fact that would work. because the nuclear fuel cycle is not carbon free at all. And
No,
this
it's
is the
not,
problem,
no.
is that they've sold themselves as carbon free, whereas actually,
It's
if you
not.
take the entire cycle from the mining, just as Roland says, all these coal-fired plants that are involved in producing electricity for refining the uranium, right through to all the energy that's required to move the stuff about and build the power stations, and all, if you take a holistic view of it, it's by no means carbon neutral. But of course the problem is that those externalities are not included in the equation. They just consider that the electricity is somehow magically produced and is carbon free.
Yeah. But the problem is that the externalities
Externalities,
in carbon are overestimated in the Swedish tax system. It's underestimated for nuclear energy.
Right.
So you have an imbalance there, which is a huge subsidy to the nuclear companies in Sweden. Furthermore, you have other subsidies like the insurance business. We are still paying for the big disasters, aren't we? Despite what Centre Party said, we're still paying. They did nothing about that promise, did they?
No. Well, they say
So-
that they will have to pay some perhaps 1 million euro or something like the first. But if you see
like
that,
before
I
the-
guess in Fukushima now they already have claims, perhaps like 300 millions of euros from different sources. So I think also I read somewhere about Chernobyl that at that time, rather soon after that the cost was estimated at least to 300 million euros at that time. So
Yeah, they're huge costs. So if you listen to Maud Olofsson, what she said, what she promised, nuclear energy in Sweden would be dead right away, of course.
sorry, I
If
was wrong. I mean of course milliards. Yeah, sorry.
Billions.
American billions. Yes,
Because
it's
as soon as you take away this law requiring states to cover insurance costs, nuclear energy is dead, not only in Sweden but also internationally. It's dead. I mean, it's fairly simple.
Thank you very
in
much,
that fact.
Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks. Coming.
hey.
Thank you all.
You are the one audience. Audience